who did you who was on your wish list of people to include in the movie as interviewees that you couldn't quite get?
Oh,
Mm,
I think
good question.
like I will say, and I know, and then John can back me up on this, and he can explain further. But Phil was going to be my Grail interview. Phil Anselmo. We had kind of coordinated to get that interview. We knew he knew about us. We knew he knew about the film.
Yeah.
But again, this was just post-COVID, really readily right after COVID. So a lot of the stuff and schedules, and I guess also John G. Read a hurricane.
So so we had scheduled a day that we were going to go to Corpus, and that's before I think they were touring. He was touring with the Illegals, I think, and they were doing Pantera covers. I remember before the big tour, and so we had scheduled a day where I knew people that worked in Corpus at the club they were going to play at. We were going to go out there. We were going to try and just talk to Phil. We didn't care if we interviewed him formally. We just wanted to talk to Phil and ask him some questions that we could use, even if it wasn't on camera. And so we were going to go down there, and that got taken away by a hurricane. What was the first one, Budro? We were going to go to New Orleans, and then what happened?
No, the New Orleans. No. The New Orleans
was the hurricane.
Was the hurricane? We were going to go to his house.
What happened in Corpus? I thought
that was a COVID thing. I think it was.
They shut down the show.
They shut down the show, and then another time we had another opportunity in San Antonio to go interview him, and then that COVID shut that one down too. So it was turned into one of these, like, I guess, it's just not going to line up. But we did the Pantera scenes without him. And so it still worked because we have 15 different people talking about Pantera and the Secret Show and all that stuff. And the footage speaks for itself at that point. Plus it's also sprinkled with reenactment footage as well. So
I was at that show. Did you guys, were you guys there?
I was not.
I drove up. I don't know if it was the Secret Show. I was living in San Antonio, and I remember a friend of mine was raving about Pantera. Pantera. He thought they were the greatest, and he's like, "You need to see Pantera." And then he said, "Hey, they're playing at the back room in Austin. We need to go. I need to take you. You need to see this band." So we drove up from San Antonio, and I remember we got there, and the line was out the door and around the building, and it was freezing cold. And we're standing in line, and then somebody from the club makes an announcement that the gig is canceled because they blew up the sound system at sound check or something like that. It was one of these things where we made the trip to see Pantera, and the show didn't happen.
But that's not true.
So that was a different show. That wasn't the Secret Show.
Right. Oh, right.
That
Okay.
Did happen. But that indeed did happen.
Oh, okay.
And,
I'm talking about the Secret Show.
No, this was the Secret Show. This was billed as Pantera. That's why my brother was aware of it, and that's why we made the road trip.
At that show, Dime, he was playing his guitar, and literally on the first note, he blew the entire PA. And so the entire show got canceled. And so that was actually in the film, and that was a tidbit that I had to cut out last minute.
That's a good story.
Yeah. And then, but the Secret Show was when they were billed as Cowboys from Hell.
Yeah. I ran into Vinny inside, like, after late afternoon kind of thing. And he took me back out into the alley and down the alley into the old dressing rooms back there. Mm-hmm. To like just basically say hi, how you doing? Because this was right after, this would have been 86-ish, late 86 maybe. I don't ask for specifics on dates, but this was around the time that well, obviously it was a year after. So maybe 87, early 87. But, I had Vinny and his dad had called me like around the time that Rex met John Bush, and I was there kind of going, "Hey dude, what's up? Cool." Just being a fly on the wall, probably bothering John Bush because I love John Bush. And we were already buddies, but I'm probably hanging on his shirt, you know. And,
You're wearing his shirt.
Yeah, I love John Bush.
You're wearing his hoodie right now.
I'm wearing. Yeah, wait, I better cover that up. So, anyway, what I'm getting at is I had been courted by the band to audition, audition for Pantera in the interim between. So this would have been a year and a half later. So probably sometime in '87, I would imagine. And they were promoting Cowboys from Hell, obviously. But Vinny took me back to meet Daryl, and Philip was in there, and that was the first time that I'd actually, shook hands with those gentlemen. And the show was scary, so you could kind of see what was about to happen to the band.
Yeah, Chris Gates gave a great, in part of his interview when he talked about it, he said, and this is in the film, he says, there was people moshing on top of people, on top of people, on top of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Les Warren, who used to work for the Forge, or he used to do the Forge, he said that was the show that felt dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's in the film. And so it was a quite a landmark moment for the club with that secret show. But still it's definitely, to have footage of that is amazing. To have reenactments of that is really cool. And to have all these people talking about Pantera as a whole and how big their influence was for the club itself as a big magnet for metal and groove metal is I'm really proud of that scene, all that whole entire section that we have of Pantera in the film. So yeah, it was awesome.
Do you feel like that came across when the patrons are talking about how a show like that secret Pantera show, like they got scared? Like, oh, do you feel like you that comes across in the film when they talk about, oh my God, those were those moments when you're at a show like this barricade's going to go any second and someone's going to die? Do you feel like you captured that in the film?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a sense of that emotion of, holy shit, this is crazy. Like, I think I got Dave Pruitt in there saying it's there's more people than it can hold. And you see the footage from the front from like the band's perspective of just the sea of people and how deep it was. And then they're all climbing on top of each other and climbing the poles in the crowd. And it's just, it's crazy. And I think that there's definitely a feeling of that in the film. So at least give people a sense of, wow,
as best you can, without being there. But I think the interviewees, the folks that you interviewed talking about that, they're doing this while they're telling the story. Like, no, this is bad, right? That kind of a vibe when you're at a show. Fuck yeah, this is gonna be awesome. And then like 30 minutes in, you're like, maybe I ought to leave.
Yeah.
Should I call the ambulance and just have them wait out front? Because there were moments like that at the club.
When we shot the Pantera reenactments at the Lost Well, one of our guys, and it was unscripted, actually stage dove and crowd surfed while we were shooting footage. And granted, the band's not really playing on stage. It was just the energy that from all the extras that were in the crowd. I'm not sure if that little clip is in the movie, but we had a stage diving incident just because of the energy that we had put together doing the reenactments.
You know what? In the moment, shit happens while you're on set. Ideas come to you, and everybody was just vibing with these guys playing the part of Pantera, and the crowd was in it, and the music's blasting out of this PA. And we've got 3 cameras rolling. So I just yelled at this kid that was in the crowd. And I had a megaphone at the time. And so I yelled at him and I said, get up on the stage and stage dive and crowd surf right now. Okay. And he ran up there and he crowded. And actually, to your point, John Drew, it is in the film. There's a short little clip, tiny little 2-3 second clip of it. And he loved it. He had never done that before. And it was amazing. And the cameras captured it. And just the vibe the vibe of shooting these reenactments was really, really helpful, and just it works. And I think that transcends through the film and to the viewers.
Yeah.